Right, so on the last video we did puzzles 1 through 20. Go check that out if you want to see that or are maybe a lower rated player. And the average elo of those puzzles I would say is about 800, maybe a bit less if you do the exact median. But yeah, I think it basically rounds around that elo value. Today we're going to be doing puzzles 21 through to some number which I don't know because I don't know how long it'll take to explain each puzzle. Now, I've accidentally actually done puzzle 21, as you can see there, because I thought when I came back to this, it was going to give me a new survival mode, but it actually retained the last one. And since I didn't finish it, yeah, the streak basically continues. So, okay, let's go to puzzle 22. Nothing is really lost. So, this is a black to move, and by this stage, you can expect the puzzles to start getting, really harder. I would say from 20 to 30 is really when you go from these puzzles, they translate to when you go from a beginner to an intermediate, um, already to the side of advanced player towards the end. Right, so it's black to move. So what are we looking for? First of all, checks. There is no check. Okay, there is one, which hangs the queen. And then we look at captures. There's this one again, keeps coming up. There's this one, which is probably not that bad, but doesn't really win anything. So no more captures. So we need threats. And usually this is the hardest thing in tactics because as you get better and better, the tactics become less and less obvious. And here we have to look for something a bit special now. You can see that for this one moment, okay, this knight is defended by the bishop. The queen is defending the bishop. There is a spin here. And sometimes you can think of pieces being overloaded. Even though this bishop only has one job, so it's not like it has multiple ties. But actually, we can take advantage of this with the move bishop c5. And again, I say this is a very special tactic. It's actually quite uncommon. But you see, there's no piece that can protect this because this knight is pinned. So they really must take the bishop, but then you can take the knight with check, and then either take the rook or the bishop. So, okay, queen e4 check is another move, but now we can just take the queen and take the bishop because it becomes undefended. Okay, this one I would even say is much lower rated than 1270, I guess it's gonna be the rating. Okay, this is a really, really important tactic that every chess player should know in the blink of an eye. It's gonna be a back rank mate, so see if you can find something related to that. And these are really the puzzles that you just play in half a second, without exaggeration. Okay, you take into account some stuff, but knowing chess.com also gives you some ease doing that. This is bishop e3 check to clear the way for the queen, and then queen f2, and queen f1 because the back rank becomes weak. The king was moved to the side, so now we can deliver checkmate on the back rank. Okay, this one is also very straightforward, but I like it because it spices up, it changes things up, and now we're looking at endings, which have much, much different tactics from the openings or the middle game. So how do we win as black? There's only one way, which is to take the pawn. That's the first move. So you get into such a position, you really don't have to think much. I'm playing black. This is either a draw or a win. I don't know, but I just take the pawn, and okay. We start thinking here. So we want to promote this pawn, but we know because we're very attentive ending students. Yeah, that's the word. We know that this pawn draws against the king, even if our king is very active, even if we have opposition. But now we use a different method, which is called shouldering, which is basically when you don't allow the opponent's king to approach, something that's going on. In this case, the pawn push, and you don't allow it to approach because of your own king. So you use your king to block the opponent's king, right? So they couldn't get closer. And now you don't start blasting the pawn to the end line because their king can just come back. If their king gets to c3, it's already a draw. Because there's no way you're going to be able to evict the king from these two squares. So you need to keep shouldering the king. Even this would be a draw. So you shoulder him all the way through. And now he's going to have to do something. He's probably going to try to go back and get towards the pawn, but our pawn is just too fast. And they don't even make us play that. Okay, now we're in a middle game. So first thing, we look for checks. There's this check here, which hangs a rook, and there's this one which actually is probably decent, because if they take, we can take on c5, a little extra tactic. Yeah, that looks good for white. So that could actually be the solution, but let's look for better. There's these captures, and okay, there's this one as well. We have to look at everything, and there's this one. So queen takes c5 just hangs a queen, but queen takes c5 is actually interesting. Why is it interesting? Because you see, once the queen takes, we have a nice family fork on e6 hanging the whole family, and we're just going to win a piece because the queen on c5 isn't defended. So you really can't underestimate any capture or any check, even if it looks dumb at first sight. Sometimes they just work out. Okay, this one is actually the exact same thing as the last one. First we look for checks. There's only one check. They take. Did we just hang the queen? Hold on. We have this other check. And they have to go back. It's a forcing move. And then we have checkmate. So it's really about looking at the forcing moves, forcing checks. And not discounting, not discarding any check or capture or move just because it looks, ridiculous at first sight. Okay, this is white to move. Oh, right. So you see, now they start getting really hard. Black's threatening checkmate and our queen. So this was actually a pretty slick move. It fails to a very specific reason. Otherwise, black would be completely winning here. So what we do, right? They're just gonna take our queen. So because we have to defend mate somehow, we can't defend her with a queen. So again, we have to look for something. In this case, we're very desperate. Okay, there's this check on a fate, but they just take. So it's not a check. There's captures. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 captures. Queen takes rook, checkmate in 1. Queen takes b5, checkmate in 1. Queen takes bishop, they take back. Is there anything going on there? Not really. So that only leaves one capture, which is knight takes c6. Now, if they just take back routinely with something, we can take their rook, because there's no more checkmate on g2. But obviously, the million-dollar question is, what about rook takes queen? Well then, luckily, and this is really luckily, we have this knight e7 fork, which, okay, the chances of this happening in your games are really low. This is a counter tactic, right? Because black tried to execute a tactic and do a counter tactic that refutes it. And we win because, okay, we're taking a bishop for a queen, keep the material count in mind. Check, king moves somewhere. And also important, we take on g6 with check. And after they take back, we just win a piece because in the starting position, we're a piece up. Right. It's black to move. And what would this be? So there's no checks. The king is nicely defended there. There's lots of captures. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 captures. So I guess we can first look at pawn takes because that is quite hectic over there. And they're just gonna take back with a knight. And okay, then what do? We can take. They can take with the bishop, and we don't have enough pieces to win material with those trades. So there's nothing at the end of the line there. That does nothing. Knight takes is the exact same thing. Rook takes. Rook takes actually could be interesting. But they take with the bishop, not with the knight. Otherwise, they would get forked. Even that could work. But okay, they take with the bishop, and after we take, they just move the queen. And there's really nothing going on if you can visualize that position. So you see, the reason why we're not winning material here is because they have enough pieces defending. In this case, they have 4 pieces defending, and that's enough to counter our pieces. But we can remove a defender first, and after they take back, then we take on e4 with a fork, and yeah, the queen and the bishop are attacked. And even though there's a lot of pieces hanging, and you really have to calculate further, you can spend time here on your own, and you'll just see that there's nothing white can do. We're just gonna win the bishop on the next move. Again, blink of an eye. These ones really can't be missed by any means. Knight e2 check and queen d1 check mate. These ones are really not that hard. Luckily they are a really recurring common tactic in chess. Right, this one is also very fun. This is called the Greek gift. I'm not sure why. It can arise from actually many known positions, like the Spanish. So we look for checks, right? There's only one. Might look stupid at first, but okay. It's a forcing move, and then we have another forcing move, knight g4, right? If they take, we take, and we win the queen for a piece, for 2 pieces. So we take and then we check. And where does the king go? The king, well, it always has like 2 options in these cases, either king g3 or king g1. So we take, check. If king g1, we go queen h4, and it's game over. Because h2 is now attacked, and there's no way to defend it, because if the knight retreats, we just take. So it's funny how this is not that easy to calculate if you're first seeing it, but knowing the pattern, these things tend to happen always. I mean, it almost seems like it works through through the heads with, but actually it's always this way. We go queen h4, and there's no one that can defend h2 if they remove the rook to try and not get checkmated. Well, in this case, we also have our rook, so it's just checkmating 2. But also, we usually take on f2 and then come back. But okay, check, and so king g1 is discarded immediately. What about king g3? And then we, again, always have the same idea, which is queen g5. I'm not sure if it's the best here. There's probably better. Let me just get to that position. Oh, actually, it might end here, so let's see, king g3. Queen g5 is usually the idea, to take on f2 or go knight e3 check. And also, I mean, I keep saying this, but also usually you win the queen on d1. Or you checkmate, because you're really close to a checkmate there as well. But okay, queen g5, the problem that I'm seeing is knight takes e6, and then you can't execute any sort of discovery, because you're just going to lose your queen. So that's really not the solution there. After king g3, we need something else. Now, it's not clear to me immediately what it is, because again, this already goes a little bit offside the common patterns, but it could be knight takes f2. Yeah, it might be that. Attacking the queen, now threatening queen g5 check or queen d6. And if they take, we go queen d6 check anyways, and then we take their rook on f2. And their king is going to be on h4, and it's just going to get checkmated. So, okay, yeah. They just hang the queen. Sometimes also, that's why we always have to think about each and every case, even though the patterns repeat themselves so much. Not every position is the same. I mean, actually, no position is the same. And yeah, sometimes easy things can turn out to be quite hard. Right, so this one, what do we see here? There's no checks. There's 2 captures. If we take there, they can take on g5 simply, and nothing's going on. We can trade rooks, but there's, again, nothing going on. Now, takes on f3 is interesting because we're removing the defender of this bishop on g5. So if they just take back routinely on f3, we take their bishop, and we've won 2 pieces for a rook. And more importantly, we've removed so many attackers because our king actually is very weak here. So that really relieves a lot of pressure from black's position. So we take, the critical line would be bishop takes e7. That would be the only sort of tricky line to try to save the bishop. But then we can take on f1, actually, with a very sneaky intermediate move with check, which is very important. And after they take, we take, and we win a piece. If we were to take immediately, they would take, and we would just lose an exchange. So, yeah. Right, puzzle number 32. it's white to move again. Right, so we're very close to checkmate, and yeah, you see sometimes, a lot of times actually, the patterns collide against each other, and it seems you're not sure which way to go, right? Because this would seem like some sort of tactic to get to checkmate, but you have to be open-minded and see the different possibilities. So how on earth would we checkmate here? This knight holds the g7 square, which would really be the only square where we could checkmate. There's no checks, and there's no way to capture this guy. Even if we could, it's defended by the other knight. So maybe it's not that. Let's look at other things. There's a bunch of captures, but really only one makes sense, which is to take the queen, because everything else would just hang the queen. And after knight takes, we can take their knight on f4, because it's undefended. So yeah, I guess the really the hardest thing about this one is that it misleads you to think you should be thinking about checkmate. Right, so this is white to move. And okay, first thing I see, this bishop is hanging with check. The queen gets so close to checkmate, it's got to be that. Not always the right train of thought, but usually it is. Right, and now my only question is that it seems like we have two ways of winning, but that's never the case in chess.com. So check, check. Okay, that's mate. That's not mate. Check, check, check. Right, so we're so close to delivering checkmate, but it's not entirely easy. So if we go queen e7, they go king c8, and then the line goes queen e6. They can't go back because of knight f7 mate. So check goes there, check, king b8, knight d7. King comes back, and we don't have the Viennese flytrap made there in that position, because after knight b6, king b8, if we go queen c8, takes, d7 is controlled by the queen. So check goes, check goes, check comes back, and then how do we? Oh, right, I see it. Right, so check goes, sorry, check goes, check goes there, goes check, comes back. Knight f8 is the solution, I believe. Wait, no, there's queen d7. Nope, not really. Okay, I have to think harder. I have queen d7 there. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is, because there's also bishop e7, that's the thing. And then queen e6. And it's so similar. But again, only one works, and I'm really not understanding why. It seems like both of them should work, but... Okay, that's gotta be mate, though. That's the only thing I'm not understanding. That's really gotta be mate. How? Hmm. Wait, what did I just say a moment ago? No, I was wrong. This is check, and check, and check. Yeah, and when the king comes back, knight f8, they don't have queen d7 because the knight actually holds that square as well. Right, so probably something like king d8, and then we check, and check. What? Wait, and then we check, king c8. Okay, this is not entirely that, straightforward. They take, because you see, king c8, we deliver this check, they would go king d8, and then we would still have to see something else, which is bishop e7, king e8, and then bishop f6, takes, check, king g8 mate. So, again, sometimes puzzles start off easy and they end not as easy. But intuitively, you just feel that that's winning. But the problem is we can't always trust intuition in such puzzles. Right, this one seems much easier. It's black to move. There's no checks. There are some captures. We have this huge problem of the king being in the center. Also this huge problem of f7 being so weak. So we have to find something special again. We can't really waste time. We can't even long castle. We also can't break this pin because or this line of sight because of queen f7. So we're basically screwed. We have to find something very special again. And that thing is bishop e6. And in this very case, the queen doesn't have any square to go where it defends the bishop. So yeah, it's really just gonna get lost. Because the knights hold all the squares the queen could go to protect it. It also can't go, well, it'll just hang the bishop there, but it can't go to any of these squares. So now we just stick it. And yeah, also we would have to see that the queen can come out. Okay. Oh, this one is, oh no, okay, we're pinned. I was just gonna say it's like checkmate in 3, but yeah, we're pinned. So you can take check, and then, okay, so what am I thinking about? Well, candidate moves, there's bishop takes f2, that's a candidate, and there's queen takes g4. And I'm really not thinking about anything else. Right, okay, I got it. So, queen takes g4, they take back, and after check and g2, we're very close to maybe winning something. I was thinking about f5, but actually it doesn't do much because the knight can either retreat or actually they have bishop e6, bishop f5 as well. So that doesn't look so great. Now bishop takes f2, the reason why this is so good is because no matter where the king goes, g2 or h1, now we can take twice on h2 and the queen will be left unguarded. And yeah, that's just really forcing. So again, it's the most forcing lines always. Right, this is black to move. What do I see? I see this line of sight here, which looks very, very dangerous for white. And I see we're almost losing a piece because of knight e4, or I mean bishop e4. They can maybe trade and come back with the knight. And I'm pretty sure that would win a piece for white. Yeah, because this knight is trapped. So how do we do this? How do we do this? I think it's got to be something related to f4. But it's really not turning out to be easy. Check, check. How does this one go? Trying to see all the possibilities I have. Any knight sacrifices? Oh, ooh, oh, this is beautiful. Wow. Wow. Okay, this one isn't simple at all, must say. Or rather, it's very simple, but I think it requires quite a lot of thinking outside the box, I guess. Wow. Yeah, I was really thinking it would be something about f4, but there's really no piece that can attack that. So I was really just going through moves, discarding them. You know, this bishop can't move. It can't be this bishop, can't be this. No pawn moves make sense. The queen doesn't really have anywhere to go. The rooks don't really have anywhere to go. So the knight, you know, does it have anything to do? And it actually has this crazy move, knight e1, which just threatens this checkmate, actually, because the bishop is here. And there's nothing that white can do to protect against this. If they take the bishop, it's not a checkmate, but we win the queen, so wow. That was a really beautiful puzzle. Right, this is black to move again. You see, this king is very close to getting checkmated, so that makes me think of checkmate. Now bishop d7 would be sort of my go-to move, because that would just cut off the king, and then they would have to go g4. But unfortunately, with our bishop there, actually, we can't do anything with the queen. The king can always just tuck there. Yeah, we're a pawn down and positionally much worse, so this should be a check. Also, there's no captures we can really make, so by exclusion, it has to be bishop f1 already, which drags the king to g4. And then we have to think of something. We can go check, check, yeah, right. So then we think about other checks. h5 is a possibility. f5 also must be sort of considered. But queen e6 really does look tasty because we're bringing the queen, closer to their king, and it creates more mating opportunities. So if you can see that position, they would have two moves, either queen f5 or king h5. Now queen f5, stay with me. We go h5 check, because that's actually the only viable check we have there. And they can't take the queen because they're pinned. They have two possibilities again. King h5, we go g6 check, forking the king and the queen. King g5, our queen is there, we can go queen h6 mate, because the queen is on f5. Again, I don't think this is too easy to see at all, visualize, but yeah. King g4, queen e6, so the other possibility is king h5, but then we have the simple queen g6 mate in one. It's simple once everything is laid down, but to actually see each little idea that adds up to being the whole tactic is actually not that easy. And yeah, we win the queen in the end. What is this one? Well, my first instinct is to just push the pawn, and I don't really see who can catch it. I don't even see what black can do, because we're defending this square, so I guess they're gonna go e4. That's the only thing they can really do to try and queen, because they block our bishop's view. So if we queen, they queen, defending e4 timely, and I guess it's probably still a perpetual for white, but yeah, I don't see enough possibilities there to mate him. They have some pawns and stuff. We only have queen and bishop against the king there. So yeah, e7, e4, but we can take on e4, and that's really probably the solution. And after they take, because what else are they gonna do, right? If they move their king, we just queen. So the idea is that after they take, now we queen, but we queen with check. And on the next move, we just defend the promotion square. And that's really the end of the tale. This is white to move. Yeah, this one seems a bit trickier. Okay, there's no checks. I mean, there's this one, but that would be a draw. There's no captures, excluding that one. Now, what I do see is that this king is very, very naked and close to getting mated. So I'm thinking about moves like queen b7, queen f7. Queen f7 probably better because it's very much closer to surrounding the black king. This threatens two checkmates, and I'm pretty sure it's impossible to stop them both. But the problem is really, what about queen e1 check, right? What about our opponent's ideas? And after queen e1, this... Oh, it's not a perpetual by miracle, basically. We have king c2 only move. King b2 or e2 would draw. Or even lose, I guess. But king c2, and there's no checks that black can make, because the queen holds f2 and everything else is defended. So again, quite an exercise of visualization there. But yeah, after queen f7, we're threatening these two checkmates, so let's think of ways black can defend against them. They can go queen g7, I guess that's the most obvious move. But then we have queen e6, and the queen has to block the check, and then we just take with mate. What else? I don't even think there's any other moves that can defend both checkmates. So yeah, let's just queen f7 and king c2. And they hang their queen. Alright guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day here at puzzle number 40, because from here on out, these are quite advanced puzzles already, and I think we're half an hour in. So yeah, this is gonna be the second episode of this sort of walkthrough of chess.com puzzles, and I'll see you soon with probably 40 to 50, which should take a bunch of time as well. See you soon.